10% inflation on your $1 million in fixed interest rate debt, a benefit that we have here in the United States. You can get that fixed rate debt for 30 years. After 1 year, you only owe the bank back $900K in inflation adjusted dollars, and only $800K in inflation-adjusted dollars after the second year. See, the bank doesn't ask to be repaid in real dollars adjusted for inflation, and of course your tenants make that monthly payment for you. So you're actually benefiting because you borrow dollars. Just like you wouldn't want to save dollars in inflationary times, do the opposite and borrow dollars with fixed interest rate debt outsourced to the tenants. That's also called shorting the dollar. Have you ever heard a stock investor say, hey, I'm going to go short this stock? If you short a stock, that means you're betting that that stock's going to go down. When you borrow for real estate, you're basically shorting the dollar. And that's a pretty safe bet. You're betting that the purchasing power of the dollar is going to go down. I mean, there aren't many sure things in investing, but that is almost a sure thing. You're shorting the dollar. So that's the second of the three in the inflation triple crown. That is called debt debasement. And the third is cash flow enhancement. Let's say in this third example, rent's $1,000. Nationally, rents have actually gone up more than 11% lately, but let's just say it's 10% to stick with easy numbers. So let's say you're able to raise your rent on your tenant from $1,000 up to $1,100. So that's a 10% increase in the rent amount. But because, again, you have the fixed interest rate debt, your mortgage principal and interest is fixed over time. So you actually feel a 2x to 3x cash flow increase, the money in your pocket, the rent income minus all of the expenses. That's cash flow enhancement. So with the inflation triple crown, you can do all three of these things at one time. Again, when you buy a property with a loan on an income producing asset, when you get that fixed interest rate debt, that's the inflation triple crown. You're actually profiting from inflation three ways at the same time with something durable and proven like real estate. Nothing speculative here.
No, absolutely. And I really appreciate you sharing that. What would you advise new investors? Because there's a lot of new investors getting involved in and looking to get involved in real estate. What would you advise them their approach to the market right now, especially in the single family where your focus is? What would you share with them to get started and to be aware of?
Well, for those who want to get started, the worst news, relates back to what I was talking about near the beginning of our chat, is the low supply. It's very difficult to find inventory. You have to be patient. Sometimes you might have to work with an agent or a realtor that has some connections to buy what would be known as an off-market property. I think a lot of people think about property when they look at buying real estate, which is a natural thing to think about, but they actually want to think about the market drivers. The market's more important than the property, because before you buy a rental single family home or a fourplex building, all right, well, you kind of buy it for the tenant that's probably already in there, but really you more so do it that you have the reasonable expectation that 18 months from now, when that property becomes vacant, that you'd be able to get another tenant in there. And, a lot of these thriving metros in the United States, South and Southeast, they're typically pretty good places. They have a good diversity of economic sectors and a growing population. But the point is those market forces are actually even more important than the property itself. So that's one thing that one wants to look out for. I mean, one can start out a few different ways once they think they found the right property. You could start out like I did. I didn't have much when I started out. An FHA loan with a 3.5% down payment. You can use that for a single family home, duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Some people think you can only use that for a single family home. So you can start with a bang like a fourplex. With a fourplex like I did. With the VA loan, you can do that same thing with 0% down. Or finally, you can buy a way that I buy real estate now through turnkey real estate investing, where you can buy across state lines. And turnkey really means three things. You buy a property that's already renovated or it's new construction, a tenant's already been placed, and then thirdly, if you want, that turnkey company will manage it for you as well, buying across state lines with turnkey real estate investing. So those are some ways to get started and some things to look out for.
Absolutely. And you have a a free course that you put out for real estate investors for folks that want to get started, right? Do you want to share a little bit more information about that?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about the sorts of things that we talk about here, how to profit from inflation and even how to profit from debt and to profit from unconventional things, you can do that at the Get Rich Education podcast. You can even grab the Get Rich Education phone app to listen to the podcast, our Get Rich Education YouTube channel, or you touched on it, MC, my new 5-part course, The 5 Ways Real Estate Pays, one of which is inflation profiting, which I explained at getricheducation.com/course. It's a video course divided into 5 parts. So each of the 5 videos average about 12 minutes. It's a total of 1 hour of content. The real estate pays 5 ways at the same time. And it's not this type of course where I try to upsell you to another course later. And there's nothing wrong with those that do that, but that's not what this is. This is just free giving, free education on how real estate's made more ordinary people wealthy than anything else. And just breaking it down really simply and making it real at getricheducation.com/course.
Awesome. You're involved in a lot of different things, Keith, and you also do some conferences and so forth. What are some of the things that you're excited about for the rest of the year?
Oh, an awful lot. That course that I just told you about, because that's helping an awful lot of people. Some of the things the pandemic wrought, I'm appearing more remotely. I'm doing more things for Forbes, and I'm appearing on television a lot more. So yeah, in some of these videos, they see me dressed up a little bit better. It's funny, in television, this traditional media source, sometimes you still, it's funny how much credibility that still gives in the world. I might have been saying the same thing on my podcast for years, but as soon as you come on and say it on television, say the same thing, people see you as an authority all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's interesting. The media world is interesting, and you've been in it quite a while, and we've been at it over here like six years now. So time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. It's been interesting to see the the world change a little bit, especially on the media side, from mainstream media, which most people now refer to sort of as dinosaur-ish media, to the podcast world, to see where it is, right? Who would have thought we would have had a podcaster like Joe Rogan has a bigger audience than the entire mainstream media combined?
Yeah, you know what's funny, MC? When I launched the Get Rich Education podcast in 2014, and I've never missed a week of doing the show since then, I found myself trying to explain to people what a podcast was. Like that was a common thing I needed to explain. And it's funny, here in the year 2022, maybe someone, a Gen Zer, might ask what a radio is, and I might actually say, oh, it's a podcast in a box.